Alrighty, guys, so just wanted to wish everybody before this video a happy Mother's Day. It is May 11th. To all the moms out there, shout out to them. Tomorrow is their day. Actually, every day should be Mother's Day. Everybody should, So shout out to them, and we're going to talk a little Nebraska football right now. I know you guys might not have been expecting that intro, but that is the way that it happens. So we're going to be talking right now about Dylan Raiola, and I want to talk about this, Nebraska spring game. I really want to talk about, what I saw from Dylan Raiola. And what I saw from Dylan was poise. The guy does not play fast, and I know that you can't hit the quarterback during the spring game, but Dylan Raiola is somebody that really takes his time in the pocket. And this is somebody that's going through his progressions and somebody that is very accurate. And even in the touchdown pass to Lloyd, and even throughout that spring game, even to the tight ends like Borkacher, Fedoni, some of the throws are effortless, and the guy is big for a freshman. He's not your thin freshman that needs to put on weight and roll. He's the son of an offensive lineman, and the guy is strong. The guy's sturdy as a quarterback, and all of that is very, very important for Nebraska's success. So I wanted to talk now about Dylan Raiola, like the keys for Dylan. And the keys for Nebraska, I think Glenn Thomas is in as his quarterback coach. And, of course, you have Marcus Satterfield, that is the offensive coach here. So it's interesting. At South Carolina with Sat, Spencer Rattler didn't really pop off at South Carolina with Marcus Satterfield. He was fine, Satterfield. He had a couple of games, but really when they beat Clemson and then when they beat Tennessee, they sort of scrapped actually the Satterfield offense. So Marcus Satterfield, and then even last year with what he did with Jeff Sims, tried to run the football a lot, then with Heinrich Harburg. He was aggressive actually with Heinrich, and I like that they gave Heinrich every opportunity to succeed. But Marcus Satterfield, at times, like that offense was the offense was ugly last year. So with Satterfield, at least he's giving Dylan Raiola some pro concepts, because Dylan Raiola wants to be an NFL quarterback. All these guys say they really want to go to the NFL, but some people are more focused on college ball and just executing and being really good at college, and some really want to be trained for the NFL. And Dylan's already going up, with Patrick Mahomes' guy in Kansas City. So Dylan Raiola is very, very focused on trying to be the NFL guy. Now, the wide receivers at Nebraska, I'm going to go through this list of wide receivers here that Nebraska has. All right, so you have Isaiah Nayer, that he got hurt at Texas. He was a transfer from Wyoming. Has a little bit of talent for sure. Was very good at Wyoming. I like the pickup a lot. Jamal Banks, going to be an interesting player, another transfer for Nebraska. And then in year two, Jalen Lloyd already looks like a deep threat. Malachi Coleman's a big 4-star recruit, and it's up to Nebraska. Are they going to be able to utilize Coleman? That is what's going to be interesting. The tight end position, if Nebraska is going to have a very successful year, the tight end position is very, very important. And I'm looking at Fedoni maybe breaking out. Fedoni might even break out and be one of the the crazier pass catchers on this football team. So you have Lloyd. You're going to need Banks to maybe hit pretty big. It says IGC is back again, but IGC, boys, played a lot of football. He's gotten injured last year. Just so the thing is with Nebraska, the schedule is manageable to start the year. I think Dillon's going to be a fine quarterback. I think Heinrich and even Daniel Kalen look decent. Heinrich's development is going to be really good. Like, you want to have Heinrich there to be a suitable backup quarterback immediately, and you want Heinrich to really improve. And for Heinrich Harburg, I think he's a Nebraska kid. I think he's going to stay in Lincoln. And then if he exhausts all his years, he might redshirt. He might have one more year left. And if Dillon is balling and Dillon's going to stay, then Heinrich's probably going to be, a commodity on the transfer market, and he's going to ball out because he's learning now with Dillon, with Daniel Kalen. I mean, his mechanics look so much better, and the guy always had a huge arm. The guy could always run. Like, I was excited to watch Heinrich play. I just think that his mechanics, like, his throw just got so loopy, and he never looked like that at Kearney. So I think that Heinrich Harburg is a guy at quarterback, and I was excited to see him hit some throws in the spring game. I thought he was better for sure than Jeff and then Chubba. I mean, Chubba Purdy did okay, but Chubba would throw bad interceptions, would fumble the football a lot. Like, Chubba is just, I don't think that Chubba has the talent of Heinrich. Heinrich has a bigger arm. All right, but we look at Dylan Raiola, and Dylan's going to be the guy starting here. Going to have to utilize the tight ends like Borkacher and all these guys, Gabe Irvin, Ramir, running back by committee style. I mean, Emmett's my favorite back. I think that Emmett Johnson has all the speed in the world. Like, Emmett's my guy. So I hope that Emmett Johnson really has a solid year. So I think that Dylan Raiola's, he's going to be interested. I don't think that he's going to be putting up like 350 yard, passing games. I think that he'll be a solid quarterback, kind of, ride with the defense, meaning like sometimes they're going to be punting. Field goal kicking is going to be pivotal for Nebraska. But I'm worried because, Barney and one of these receivers better pop, and then you better have Fedoni. You look at Auburn's receivers, and Auburn, went out and got Cam Coleman a 5-star. Auburn got a Penn State transfer. Even Penn State got Julian Fleming from the portal. Like, Nebraska should have spent big money on like an Evan Stewart, or Nebraska should have spent big money on getting an absolute A-list guy in the portal at wide receiver. Even Oklahoma, this guy Burks from Purdue is figuring there in Norman to be like an A-list guy, and Nebraska doesn't have an A-lister at wide receiver. That's going to be a problem for Dylan Raiola. And the problem, too, with the schedule is that, you're going to start off the season fairly mundane. Northern Iowa, Illinois can be sneaky. I love that coaching staff. Like, Illinois has a very deep coaching staff with Coach Bielema. That game's going to be sneaky. Purdue in year 2. Purdue's a strange team for sure. Ryan Walters there up in Lafayette. But there's going to be a ton of pressure on Matt Rhule to really get off to a good start. Like, you can't go win 5 again. You got to win 7 games. And then Nebraska, like, they play Wisconsin. They're going to be at Iowa. They're going to be playing USC. Luckily, UCLA will be at home, so that should be a W. Indiana, Rutgers. You just need your defense to ball. If the defense plays well, you win 7 or 8 with Dylan, that's going to be good. But Dylan's the type of guy, I mean, you already saw it, like what he did with Georgia. Dylan's the type of guy that if he struggles against USC, if he struggles against Iowa, and if the offense really struggles against Ohio State, like, you could see Dylan Raiola, who has all the leverage in the world, threaten to go in the transfer portal. Like, we could be talking a year from now and Dylan Raiola could go in the transfer portal. That is not at all beyond the realm of possibility. And the reasons why I say that is because, with Satterfield, I'm worried. Like, I actually think Satterfield, if you're Marcus Satterfield, you're kind of happy to have Dylan Raiola, but your job security isn't as secure. If Satterfield just had, say that he had Kalen and Heinrich Harburg, and they win 6 or 7 games, like, doesn't have the expectation. But now when you have the number one quarterback in the country, you have all this skill at quarterback, your offense needs to click and he needs to buy into your offense, or you're probably going to be gone so that Dylan Raiola could stay at Nebraska. Dylan Raiola provides hope for the University of Nebraska. I guess the good news about the schedule, well, that Colorado game against Shedeur will be huge, and you can get after that defense. You should get after, that defense at Colorado in week 2. If you lose to that game against week 2, all the pressure in the world's against a stingy, terrific FCS team in Northern Iowa that's great every single year, that goes deep in the playoffs in the Valley every year, for football especially. And then you get Illinois. Illinois is going to be a tougher defense at home too. I think they're going to be improved. So I don't think the schedule is as cakey as everybody is talking about. All right. Purdue, Rutgers, Indiana. Yeah, it's a decent way to start. You get UCLA is actually a team without Chip that should be in absolute free fall mode, and you get them coming to you in November. They're going to be tired as heck. That's a W all day long. Like, I think that Illinois is a tougher game than I think UCLA, and we'll rank these games. And then Wisco at home late in the year, but again, Luke Fickell could get that thing rolling. So there's still decent coaches littered on this schedule in the Big Ten. But for sure 7 is what you're hoping for with Dylan Raiola. And with Dylan, is Dylan going to stay to 3 years at Nebraska? They're going to have to spend eventually, or they're going to have to recruit really good wide receivers. And Matt Rhule's going to have to be all right with this offense of letting Dylan eventually be Superman in the offense and not constraining Dylan Raiola and Dylan's skills. So you have a senior-laden defense. I think Dylan will be entertained enough to stay. But if he struggles late in the year, it's going to be dicey. And if he doesn't really get along with the Satterfield offense, then either Marcus is going to go. Who knows who they'll get at offensive coordinator. Heck, Ohio State could absolutely be looking at Dylan Raiola. I look at that roster at Ohio State quarterback-wise, like Devin Brown, like Aaron Noland is nowhere near Dylan Raiola's talent. Julian saying I don't think is close to Dylan Raiola. So I would be very, very scared in the offseason if the season, I just think the season could lack some pop offensively. And for Dylan, like, they have to win 7 or 8 this year. And also some of these freshmen need to come along and really be solid. Maybe if Tommy Fidone fulfills all his potential as one of the best tight end recruits in the country. Maybe if Grant Nelson or the third string tight end is a special football player at Nebraska. The football player, the tight end is a very, very good freshman. Is a special player from out there in the heartland. Nelson, I think his name is, who also played basketball. That was a big time recruit for Nebraska. So listen, I'm excited still. This offensive line should be freaking really, really fun. Let me look here at the offensive line and everybody here. So, you have Sledge. You have a lot of guys on the offensive line that I like. Okay, running back. I doubt I'll just be like a complimentary back. But is Dylan going to be Is Dylan going to be happy? Is Dylan going to stay there? We got to analyze this every single week. Like, what's the morale with Dylan? What's the morale with Nebraska? Dylan's a special quarterback. Listen, with Dylan Raiola, here's the thing. He's so freaking talented that even if he has a Josh Allen career where he bounces around, he's going to show up at the NFL Combine, knock on wood for good health for Dylan Raiola. He's going to show up at the Combine, all the workouts. He has it all. And I think he's going to be a very high pick in the NFL draft when he decides to go to the NFL. But I'm worried about him at Nebraska, and I'm worried about Nebraska winning these games. And especially, he'll be excited playing in Memorial Stadium as an 18-year-old. Like, that's an honor to be a freshman quarterback, to be a starting quarterback at Nebraska, to be playing all these home games, to be playing against Colorado. I think it's going to be special. So I think Dylan's going to get swept up in it, and I think he's going to love it. I think that Dylan's going to love it, and I expect Dylan to probably be there likely year 2. But again, they got to win 7. And if they struggle down the stretch and things get dicey, things get heated between him and Satterfield, I mean, that's the thing, is that early on it's going to be pretty smooth sailing. It should be with the schedule. But again, you have some tricky games like Illinois. The Purdue game's just sneaky tough. Every game, of course, in Nebraska is not a given. They haven't made a bowl game in 7 years, so Nebraska fans know it too well. Matt Rhule, clock management, again, all of these factor in. But the defense, I just love what I'm seeing from them. I think they have a terrific mentality. The staff is elite that Matt hired. The Tony White thing looks brilliant. They kept him. Ty Robinson's going to be back. The Polar Bear Hutmacher's going to be back. So it should be a really fun year in Lincoln. But the spring game was fantastic. Dylan looks like everything and more. Already looks like you can protect the football. He didn't throw a lot of interceptions. So he's not even going to play that gunslingery really, at Nebraska. It's just how patient will he be? And he could get frustrated if none of these receivers can really separate and could really be a consistent factor. And I just think that with the money that Nebraska's putting into football and practice facility, they needed to be uber aggressive with getting a wide receiver in the portal. And I just don't know if they're landing like the biggest stud wide receivers. But we'll see how it shakes out.